What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Wellthy Stocks, back with our weekly Tesla and Nio update video where we take a look at how both of these stocks traded this past week, key levels of support and resistance we are looking at, some news around these stocks, and then we'll try to see where we think these stocks could be headed based on future levels of support and resistance. So real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and comment down below what your thoughts on Tesla and Nio are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. So let me hit record and we will get right into it. Real quick, wanted to cover that. If you like what I'm using here, I'm using Webull. I know a couple of you guys have asked me, so that link will be in the description if you want to use that to sign up. We both get some free shares. So going right into Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA. A couple things happened this week. Both Tesla and Nio had not great weeks. The overall market was selling off, and Tesla and Nio being kind of hyper stocks, I like to think of them as, right, with the way they've kind of traded in the past year. They also fell really fast. So not great weeks for both of these companies, but let's take a look at key pieces of news that came out. So first things first, quick updates here. Tesla reached 5,000 supercharger installs in China. That's the news that we got, I think, yesterday on Saturday. So that's great news for the company, right? Because that establishes their network in China. If you guys remember from Tesla's earnings report, China is one of the places where they're really looking to expand and they see growth opportunities ahead. So I think that this will be great news for them. The other thing that I want to talk about is Cathie Wood is going to come out with a Tesla price target. I think that could be huge for the stock just because, a lot of people with the performance of her ETFs last year have really looked forward to what she has to say, what she buys, what she sells. So I think that, if she comes out with a super bullish kind of outlook on Tesla, which we know she has because she's recently bought a ton of shares, that could be good news for the stock as well. And the other thing that I covered, I think, a couple days ago as well, is Tesla Model 3 demand spiked 25% in Japan following their price cuts, right? So it's three great things that we just covered for Tesla here. Superchargers in China, Model 3 demand in Japan, and Cathie Wood's potentially coming out, which, I can only hope will be bullish because she recently bought a ton of Tesla. So that's, what we got going with Tesla. Now let's take a look at the 5-day chart here. And then, what we see here obviously is a little bit of green on Monday, right? The overall market looked really nice on Monday. But from that point on, right, we went from kind of from trading in the 700s, dropping as low as $539 and then closing up near the 600 mark, but couldn't quite break/sustain the 600 mark. So that's what we're looking at, guys. On the RSI, we are at 29.58, below 30, so it is oversold. Tesla is officially oversold now. So I think that it's been selling off for a little bit, obviously. So let's take a look at future levels of support, future levels of resistance, and we'll see what we see. So first things first, what I want to do is I want to draw, a couple new levels. Didn't think we would need to, but, Tesla decides that it is going to sell off. So might as well have more levels down here. The first level that I'm going to draw is that kind of low point for us on Friday in the 538s. And then in between that level, what I'm going to focus on here are kind of the highs from the previous times that we were down here. So I'm going to draw actually a line kind of right there. So let's talk about future levels of support, future levels of resistance. The first level that we have, obviously, if we start to push down, we've got three levels that I really want to focus on. And that is $584.90, 568, and then 538, which is kind of the low point that we were on Friday. We saw a really nice reversal on Friday with a lot of stocks going from red, super red, to green, but Tesla still ended the day red, almost 3 7/8% down in their 0.24 after hours. So putting it at about 4% red on the day, even after the huge rally that happened in the second half of the day. That being said, it was more than 10% down at one point. So that definitely is good to see. That recovery is nice to see. So again, if we keep going down, 584, 568, and 538 are the three levels that I'm looking at. On the upside, obviously, the first level that I'm looking at is that 600 level. We broke it briefly on Friday, could not sustain it. As you can see here, we bounced off of exactly 600 on Friday. day. Take a look at the low number here, 600. Could not break above it, so I'm hoping that we can do that sometime this week, assuming the market's green. Then I'm looking at 614, then I'm looking at 641, and then 658.69. So those are the three levels that I'm looking at on the upside. Obviously, first level to clear is 600s, then 614, 641, and 658. Now, my goal for this week for Tesla, it's a little, sounds a little bit crazy, but it's Tesla, so I could do it. It's about a $74 jump to the 89 EMA at 671. Look, if the market looks green, looking for it to recapture that 89 EMA. If the market looks strong, I think it could do that even in a couple days. But I think it's overall dependent on how the market's doing. The market's been selling off, and Tesla being kind of the hyper growth stock that it is selling off a little bit more than the overall market. So that's what I'm looking at on the upside, and the downside, again, hoping for a push towards 671 if we see a green week. That's a big asterisk, and I'll talk about the market in just a little bit after I cover NIO and what my thoughts there are, right? So hoping for a push towards 671 while understanding that, there is downside, and I've highlighted those levels too if we see a red week again. With NIO, similar story, RSI at 29. It's been approaching oversold levels. It is now officially at oversold. We went all the way down to the $31 mark before rebounding and only closing the day down about $1.17, which is about 3%, up 1.8% after hours. So really only puts us at about 1.2 red on the day, 1.2%. So not terrible, but for a minute there, not gonna lie, looked really nasty. Now, what are we looking at in terms of future levels of support, future levels of resistance, you guys? So this push down, took us back to the levels we were in early November. So wiped out November, December, January, February, 4 months worth of gains for us. So let's take a look at future levels of support, future levels of resistance. I'm actually going to draw a horizontal line right at our, point here where we, our low point from Friday, and we can hopefully, use that as a level of support because we did bounce there. So now let me get rid of these indicators for just a second. Similar story with NIO, similar story with a lot of stocks that I covered. Monday looked great. We had a nice green day. NIO pushed up to 51s in the after hours and then sold off for the rest of the week pretty much, right? So we went from trading in the 51, sold off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday with the crazy sell-off taking us to the high 31s, and then we pushed up to end the day in the 38s, again pushing up in the after hours. So let's talk about future levels of support, future levels of resistance. Then there's a couple things I want to take a look at in the market to share my thoughts there. So again, we are currently between our two levels here. So on the downside, we've got two levels that we're looking at, 35.81 and then 32.13. Actually, I'm gonna move that down to be 31.91 because that's exactly where it should be. 31.94 is close enough. So 35.81 and then 31.94 are the two levels that I'm looking at on the downside. On the upside, I'm looking at the 38.53 level, which it looks like we've captured in the after hours. So really watching for a push towards 40. If we can clear 40, 40.71, and then 42.38 next before we get to 44.58. Again, my goal for this week, same thing with NIO. It's so oversold right now that I'm looking for a push back towards the 89 EMA, and that currently is at $46.87. So that's what I'm hoping NIO pushes towards this week. Obviously, to do that, it needs to get through 40.71, then 42.38, then 44.58, then 46.23, and then it gets to 89 EMA. So I'm going to share that when I make more videos this week. Overall week's goal though is if, again, very big asterisk, if we have a green market. If we see more sell-off, obviously I'm not betting on NIO to capture the 89 EMA this week, right? So just be aware of that. 89 EMA at 46.87 is what I'm hoping it captures, and here are the levels that it needs to get through to get there. So now let me share a couple thoughts. With the S&P 500, right, I shared this with you guys on, I think, Wednesday, right? When we ended the day between the 34 and the 55 EMA, just like we did last week, and I said the same thing, we had run room down to the 55 EMA. So I said the same thing on Wednesday. I said, hey, we did have a nice red, or not a nice red day, but a decent red day. Red days are not nice. We not only went to the 55, but all the way down to the 89 EMA. And then, kind of said the same thing on Thursday. I said, hey, We were between the 55 and the 89. We could go down to the 89. We did pretty much go down to that 89 EMA here in the 371 on the S&P 500, but we pushed up, we rebounded, and we recovered. We actually ended the day nicely green, almost a 2% green day. So what does that mean? I think, you know, great way to end the week, first and foremost. We went from it being a terrible red day to a decent green day. I'm not quite convinced that, you know, the sell-off is done. Maybe it's temporarily, you know, we see some buying coming in. If this is any indication, though, that was a great sign for the markets. So I'm looking closely at where we go. Look, if we end the day, if we see another red day this week that puts us between these EMAs, maybe we see another fall. So I'll keep you guys posted on that, but I want to share that in case you want to look at the same thing. Same thing with QQQs, you guys. I am watching, look, we're below the 89 EMA again. I know I'm talking about the same thing on different stocks, but that's because it's a big deal for it to be below the 89. It means it's pretty darn oversold. But let me get rid of the EMAs, and I want to talk about something here, right? So this 300 level is really crucial, you guys, because if we take a look back in September, early September, we were at this level, couldn't break it. So we pulled back, we pushed up. Mid-October, we couldn't break it. Pulled back, pushed up. Mid-November, we couldn't break it, pulled back a little less, pushed up. As you can see, we made higher highs, so we didn't pull back every time. Finally, at the end of November, you guys, we broke through, and early December, we came right back and we bounced off of the 300 level. When I say 300, right, I'm talking realistically kind of that 297 to 302, 303 range. It's not perfectly 300. Now, pushed up, made all the way high, all the way up to 338, and now we've been rapidly selling off. So look, what I'm saying here is we've hit this 300 level back in September, October, November, and then finally in December we broke through. So for us to break down, we are potentially going as back, losing progress, going as far back as September. That's why I think this 300 level for me is a pretty darn big deal. 298, 297 is where I'm kind of like setting my alerts, which we actually got to on Friday, but thankfully it was very, it lasted a very short amount of time, and then we started recovery, which I was super happy to see. But again, really closely watching that this week, because I think, you know, if it goes down, which I'm hoping it doesn't, because we've already seen a 10% correction on the Qs, right? The tech heavy sector. But again, if we see that this week, that's what I'm watching for, and I would need to reconsider kind of my position sizing, because then I think we, again, similar to how we had here, we might have some trouble breaking above that 300 mark. So hoping, and if we go down, right, again, not that going down there is troubling. If we stay down there, if we close down there, if we don't see buying coming in, then I think it could get problematic. We're not too far from there. So hopefully we either go sideways or green this week, but we'll see how it goes. As always, I'll keep you guys posted on that. I'm hoping that we have a green week, but also staying cautiously optimistic, looking out for the downside, because that's how you know, hopefully we don't get blindsided, right? If we're so bullish that we're, you know, ignoring all these other signs, then we could get blindsided, and that could be terrible for us and our portfolio. So I know last week was terrible, red week for me. Decent red week in my portfolio, but that's all a part of the game. Hopefully we start to turn around here soon. Everything is looking kind of oversold. So hopefully we see some buying coming in. We got the stimulus, I think, passed over the weekend. Typically that'd be a sell the news type of thing for me, but with the amount of selling we've seen recently, I do think that, you know, hopefully some buying comes in and people maybe use some of that money to invest in the stock market, and we see some volume coming in from retail investors as well. That's all I had for you guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a huge thumbs up. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching and all the support you guys have shown me and how this channel is growing. All thanks to you guys. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day. I hope you guys all had an amazing weekend, and here's to a green week. Until next time.